In recent days, I keep seeing the same screenshot on social media. A chart from the so-called DFM Real Estate Index showing a clear downward trend. And below it, comments like, "Now you finally see that the real estate market in Dubai is collapsing." But is that really true? Or are thousands of people comparing two things that have nothing to do with each other? In this episode, I will show you step by step how the DFM Real Estate Index is constructed, why it says nothing about the actual real estate market itself, and which data we really use to analyze price developments in Dubai correctly. Welcome. My name is Eugene Zimbelman from Dubai Finance. I help investors successfully invest in real estate in Dubai by finding the right property as an investor, Dubai Land Department certified property valuer, and mortgage specialist. Let's start directly with the chart I'm showing here. This chart has fallen by over 20% in just a few days. It is currently being shared on social media and other channels. And below it, comments like, "Now you finally see that the Dubai real estate market is collapsing." Some even write that this is proof that prices are falling and the market is tipping. Seeing this chart for the first time can certainly be convincing. A line goes down and immediately you get the impression that something dramatic is happening. But this is exactly where the problem begins. Because before you draw any conclusions from such a chart, you have to ask a very simple question. What does this chart actually show? Does this index actually reflect the Dubai real estate market? Or are we only seeing the share price development of a few listed companies? This distinction is critical. And it is exactly this distinction that is being completely ignored on social media. In recent days, I have repeatedly received messages from investors sending me these screenshots and asking, "Eugene, is this true? Are real estate prices in Dubai falling?" That is why I want to break down this topic clearly today. The chart that is being shared everywhere has much less to do with the actual real estate market in Dubai than many believe. Before we talk about whether prices are rising or falling, we first need to understand what this index actually is. The so-called DFM Real Estate Index is not a property price index. It does not measure the price of apartments, villas or plots in Dubai. And it is not based on transaction registered at the Dubai Land Department. Instead, it is what is called a sector index of the Dubai financial market. The Dubai financial market, the stock exchange in Dubai, divides its listed companies according to the International Classification System GICS, the Global Industry Classification Standard. Within this system, there are various sectors such as banking industry or real estate. The DFM Real Estate Index is therefore nothing more than a sub-index of the general stock index, which only reflects the stock prices of real estate companies listed on the Dubai Exchange. This means the index does not measure the price of an apartment in downtown Dubai. It does not measure the price of a villa in Dubai Hills or Palm Jumeirah. What it measures is the stock price development of a few real estate companies. So if one of these companies' stocks rises or falls, the index moves automatically as well. And this is where it gets particularly interesting. The index currently consists of only a very small group of companies. These includes, among others, Emaar Properties, Emaar Development, the T-Com Group, Dejar Development, Union Properties, and Al Mazaya Holding. At first sight, this may seem like a broad representation of the real estate sector. In reality, the index is extremely concentrated. By far, the largest component is Emaar Properties. This company alone usually makes up around 50% of the entire index. If you also include Emaar Development, the weighing often exceeds 70% of the entire index. In practice, This means if the EMA stock moves strongly, the entire DFM real estate index moves automatically as well. And that is why we need to ask a critical question. If a stock falls, does that automatically mean that all real estate in Dubai loses value? Of course not. Stocks react to completely different factors than real estate itself. They respond to quarterly results, international capital flows, interest rate decisions, geopolitical news, and often simply to short-term market sentiment. A real estate works completely differently. Property prices do not develop within minutes or hours. They develop through real transactions between buyers and sellers. And that is why it is extremely dangerous to look at a stock chart and draw conclusions directly about the real estate market in Dubai. Before we discuss what is really happening in Dubai's real estate market, we first need to understand how property prices actually develop here. Once you understand this mechanism, it becomes clear why an intraday stock chart cannot accurately reflect the real estate market in Dubai. If we want to understand how property prices in Dubai really develop, we need to look at the mechanism through which properties are sold. Unlike stocks, whose prices can change within seconds, the real estate market always relies on concrete contracts between buyers and sellers. And those contracts in Dubai follow a clearly defined process. The central step in every property transaction is the so-called Form F contract. This is the binding preliminary purchase agreement between buyers and seller. The final purchase price is set in this document. Both parties are legally committed to complete the transaction, and usually a deposit check is already made of 10%. This contract is the moment when buyer and seller actually agree on price. Now comes the critical point many people do not know. Between this initial purchase agreement and the actual registration of the property at the trustee office and the Dubai Land Department, there are usually several weeks. In many cases, even a period of 30 to 90 days. The reason is simple. After signing the Form F, various steps must be completed. Mortgage has to be finalized, NOCs are obtained, documents are prepared, and then the actual transfer of ownership is notarized at the trustee office and the Dubai Land Department. In practice, this means something very important. If a property is registered at the Dubai Land Department today, the price of that property was often already agreed upon 1 to 3 months earlier between buyer and the seller. The market price we see today in official transactions data reflects decisions made weeks ago. This structure alone shows why it is impossible to represent the real estate market in Dubai in an hourly or even daily chart. A stock price can change within minutes because buyers and sellers can act at any time. A real estate market moves much slower because every transaction requires real contracts, real inspections, and real capital flows. And that is why many market analyzers fall short if they rely solely on publicly released Dubai Land Department transaction data. These data are extremely valuable because they make every transaction transparent. But they only ever show the result of a process that began weeks earlier. In our daily work, we therefore do not only look at registered transaction, but also at an earlier indicator, the pre-registration of these Form F contracts. These are the moments when buyers and sellers have already agreed on price and property, even if the final transfer of ownership has not yet taken place. This allows us to recognize much earlier whether price levels are changing or if the market remains stable. And this is where it gets interesting when looking at the current situation in Dubai. In the last 2 weeks, we could not detect any unusual price deviations in these early transact data. There are always individual transactions slightly above or below the market value. This is completely normal in the real estate market and has been observed for years. But we currently see no systematic deviation or sudden price drop. If you are interested in these evaluations and want to understand how the Dubai real estate market really works, subscribe to my channel Dubai Finance here. Here we regularly analyze current developments, look behind the headlines and organize data so that you as an investor really understand what is happening in the market in Dubai. Another point frequently discussed today is supposedly sharply declining transaction numbers. Here it is also worth taking a closer look. In recent weeks, due to geopolitical tensions around Iran, there were indeed some schedule shifts. Many buyers and sellers postponed planned in-person appointments, including at the Trustee and the Dubai Land Department transactions. But this does not mean the transaction disappeared. In many cases, they were simply delayed. It is important to understand that a Form F contract usually has a duration of several weeks. The transfer of ownership does not have to occur on the last day. In practice, it often happens earlier or is postponed slightly if appointments need to be adjusted. So if you only look at a single week with fewer registered transactions without understanding the total background, you can quickly get a wrong impression. The market then seems weaker, although in reality only the timing of notarization has shifted. That is why the Dubai real estate market is one of the most transparent in the world. But this transparency must be interpreted correctly. Data are publicly available. Every transaction is registered and published. But anyone who looks at these data without context or confuses them with stock charts draw wrong conclusions. And here lies the core problem with the screenshots currently circulating on social media. A stock index primarily depends on individual stock movements, is suddenly presented as a proof of an alleged price drop in the real estate market itself. Anyone who really knows the market and understands the mechanism behind transactions immediately sees that this conclusion is simply not valid. And that is why it is essential not to drive property prices from social media, but from real transactions, real contracts, and a proper valuation of the respective property. As a Dubai Land Department certified property valuer and investor, my team and I analyze these data every day. We examine real purchase contracts, check prices relative to market value, and evaluate properties not just by numbers, but also by location, construction quality, and actual demand. So if you are thinking about buying a property in Dubai or already have a specific property in mind, you should not base your decision on screenshots or stock charts. On www.dubai-finance.com, you can book a free consultation call. Then we can look together at how the market is really developing, which properties are currently attractively priced, and how to make a well-informed investment decision in Dubai.